You're listening to Tamez Labs, the AI Creativity Series. I'm Jack, here with Trip. We're exploring the AI tools that help you create quality work and avoid the slop. On today's show, we're putting ComfyUI and Krea head-to-head to see which one does a better job of building a reusable workflow that keeps your character art looking consistent.
Here's a question working character artists are actually arguing about right now. If you need to build one reusable workflow, same character, same face, same costume, multiple poses, ships to a client or a contractor, do you build it in ComfyUI or Krea? Not which one looks prettier in a demo, which one you can hand off.
My gut said ComfyUI before I even started the test. I've seen enough cloud tools get repriced or go down mid-project that reusable feels like it implies local by default. But Krea just dropped native LoRA training, which changes the shape of the argument enough that I had to actually run it.
Both platforms have moved fast in the last 90 days. Krea launched its first proprietary foundation model, Krea 2, in mid-May, with a turbo variant generating images in roughly 2 seconds. ComfyUI hit View 0.24.0 in early June, shipped Day 0 support for Ideogram 4, and expanded ControlNet capabilities with new DiffSynth integrations. The two tools landed Ideogram 4 support on the same day. Model freshness parity is real now, which removes one of ComfyUI's historic talking points.
From a feel standpoint, they're almost opposite objects. ComfyUI is a graph. You're literally wiring nodes together, looking at the signal path. Krea is a canvas. You drag references in, you see things change. They're solving the same problem from completely different sides of the brain.
The test was specific. Build one reusable character workflow. Same face, same proportions, same costume palette, across multiple poses and contexts. The word reusable is carrying most of the weight in that sentence.
I started with ComfyUI because the architecture for this problem is well established. You stack IP adapter for face and style locking, ControlNet with open pose or depth maps for pose conditioning, a character LoRA for the trained concept, and you fix your sampler settings. Wire it together, and that whole pipeline is a JSON file. I fed the same depth map series through it, 5 poses, same character spec, and the face held across all 5. The costume details held. The seed behavior was deterministic. That graph is version controllable, shareable, and it runs the same way next month as it does today.
What you're describing is an inspectable signal path. Every conditioning stage is visible and independently adjustable. That's not just a UX preference. It's what makes the workflow actually portable. You can hand a colleague that JSON, they load it with matching models, and they get your output.
The failure mode is the setup phase. Getting to that working pipeline, installing ComfyUI, matching custom node versions, downloading the IP adapter weights, the ControlNet models, the LoRA. That's days, not hours, if you're not already deep in the ecosystem. And the ComfyUI wiki is currently documenting custom node breakage after core updates as an active problem. So your reusable workflow can break between sessions if a node dependency updates under you. That happened to me twice during this test. Not ideal when the pitch is reproducibility.
The breakage issue is structural. ComfyUI's openness, the thing that makes it powerful, is also what makes dependency management fragile. The graph is stable. The node ecosystem underneath it isn't always.
Krea goes in a different direction entirely. I uploaded reference images, built a mood board, and the real-time canvas let me dial in the character look in probably 40 minutes. The iteration loop with Krea 2 Turbo at roughly 2 seconds per generation is genuinely fast. It stops feeling like waiting and starts feeling like sketching. That early phase, figuring out what the character actually looks like before you commit anything, Krea is faster than any node pipeline.
And native LoRA training, which went generally available June 1st, is the development that changes Krea's position in this comparison most directly. You can now train a character LoRA inside the platform, keep it private, and generate against it without leaving the browser. The end-to-end loop, references, train, generate, iterate, is one UI. That's a real answer to the character consistency problem that Krea didn't have 90 days ago.
It's a real answer with a real catch. That LoRA lives in Krea's cloud and does not export. The character asset you train in Krea is tied to Krea's platform and their subscription pricing. If you need to hand that pipeline to a client or a contractor or your future self on a different tool, you can't. The workflow is cloud resident, not portable.
There's also an input constraint that doesn't exist locally. Krea operates on a cloud content policy, and artists working with existing licensed characters, client brand characters, IP-adjacent work, report friction at the reference upload stage. ComfyUI running on your own hardware has none of that.
The style fidelity benchmark is worth naming. An independent lab found Krea 2 within 0.14 points of GPT Image 2 on style fidelity in a 4-model comparison. That's a real number. ComfyUI can't make that claim because ComfyUI isn't a model, it's a runner. The output quality depends entirely on what model you load into it.
Which is also ComfyUI's answer to that point. You can load whatever model you want. When a new open-weight model drops, ComfyUI supports it the same day.
Where ComfyUI wins cleanly. Pose series consistency via ControlNet. For the same character across 5 or 10 poses, depth map-driven pose conditioning with a locked character LoRA produces outputs that hold together in a way Krea's moodboard system doesn't match. The pipeline portability is real. That JSON file runs anywhere with matching models. No subscription required. And if fine anatomical detail matters, specific sampler settings and negative conditioning reach depths that Krea's interface doesn't expose.
Where Krea wins cleanly. Speed to a good-looking character in the concept phase. The art direction session model, drag references, see changes, adjust in real time, is faster than building a node graph when you're still figuring out what the character is. The native LoRA loop is now competitive with ComfyUI for locking character identity. And the Krea 2 model has independent benchmark support for aesthetic quality that's separate from workflow mechanics.
The frame I kept coming back to. ComfyUI is where you go once you know what the character is. Krea is where you go to figure out what the character should look like. For a lot of projects, those are sequential phases, not a head-to-head choice.
And then the slop line, which is the same for both tools. Neither one solves character consistency automatically. Training a character LoRA on bad reference images, inconsistent lighting, mixed styles, too few shots, produces drift in both systems. The model can't fix bad training data, regardless of the platform. When a new pose introduces extreme foreshortening, both ControlNet conditioning in ComfyUI and LoRA plus moodboard in Krea struggle to hold face fidelity simultaneously. And fine detail drift, the buckle placement and insignia shape, specific fabric texture, neither tool locks that across a pose series without a human reviewing and selectively inpainting every output. That review step is not automated. It's not coming.
Which is maybe the most important thing to say out loud. The slop line isn't at the tool level, it's at the judgment call. You decide when drift is acceptable, when to retrain, when the output is production ready. No tool makes that call.
The test was specific. Build one reusable workflow that produces consistent character art. Reusable is the operative word, and it decides this.
ComfyUI wins this test. IP adapter plus ControlNet plus character LoRA plus locked sampler settings, all wired as an inspectable graph, saved as a portable JSON file that runs locally without a subscription. That is a reusable workflow. Krea's LoRA update is genuinely significant, but the workflow you build there is cloud resident, platform locked, and dependent on Krea staying solvent and affordable. For handing a character pipeline to a client or a contractor, ComfyUI is the answer.
The honest trade-off is setup time. Getting to a working ComfyUI character pipeline is days to weeks for someone who isn't already in that ecosystem. Getting to a usable Krea character in concept-ready shape is hours. If the work you're shipping is a brief exploration for a pitch, Krea gets you there faster. If the work is a production asset that has to live somewhere stable and portable, ComfyUI is more durable.
Build your character in Krea. Then go build the pipeline in ComfyUI. Those aren't competing answers. They're the actual order of operations for doing this well.
The mistake is assuming you have to pick one at the start and never switch. The tools have different strengths at different phases of the same job. Know which phase you're in. That's the AI craft worth knowing about this week. Follow Tamez Labs if you want to stay ahead of your field and your competition. Stay hungry, stay foolish.
Grab news. Tamez.